All right, welcome everybody who's just filing in here. We are just getting started. We're not going to actually jump into the presentation for a couple more minutes, give you guys some time to get situated, grab some water, some coffee, bathroom breaks. We're going to get started here in just a couple minutes. All right, looks like a bunch more jumped in. For those that have just joined us, we're going to get started here in a couple minutes. You haven't missed anything. You're in the right spot. While we do get situated and wait for the rest of everyone to file in, as always, you guys will have a chat feature, but also a Q&A. I recommend using the Q&A if you guys have any questions throughout the webinar. I'm going to do my best monitoring it. I got it up on my screen. If there's any questions that are relevant for the slide that we're on, I'm going to pause, ask that to Ron here so we can address your question directly. Looks like chat's disabled. Yes, never mind. Chat's disabled. It's just Q&A. Thank you. Great question. See, we already answered it on the first slide. It's exactly how we're going to handle this moving forward. So if you have any other questions or comments, please do put it there. We're going to get started here in just under 1 minute. Okay, looks like we just reached our mark, what we expected for everyone to join. So again, sorry to be redundant for those that were on here early, but one last time for everyone that just joined, thank you all so much for jumping on here. We are going to get started right now. As a reminder, chat is disabled, but there is a Q&A feature that should be enabled for all of you guys. Please do use that for all questions or comments throughout the webinar. I will personally be monitoring it as well. I've got a couple other folks on the line with me to help me ask those questions throughout the webinar. It won't just be saved till the end. So please get those questions in early. Obviously, you guys will be muted and off camera, but this is being recorded. And of course, this recording will be shared with all of you after the webinar. And we got a couple polls throughout the webinar. So you'll be able to provide some feedback on very specific items. All that being said, very excited for today's webinar. This is always my favorite sort of event that we hold here at Excite, and hopefully you guys find a lot from it as well. But this is going to be a unique one because not only is this our quarterly progress update where we talk about features that have been released, features on our roadmap, and some big events upcoming, but this is the first quarterly webinar where we are doing a product launch. Typically, we reserve these for some trade shows, but since we're kind of in that period between ISE and InfoComm, we figured why not? Let's get this out there, make people aware of it, and really start to build the momentum, starting the beta list, which we'll talk about very soon, leading up to InfoComm, so we can have some great conversations about that new product. You guys all know me. I'm Andrew Gross. I'm our VP of Sales here, running our US office here out of New York City. On the line with me, of course, is Ron Zakch. He is our VP of Product, and he'll be joining us very shortly to talk in some about the technical details on stuff that's been released, coming, and of course, our new product release. So let's get started. What are we going to be talking about? We talked about the trends. As always, we're going to kick off with what we're seeing in the industry. Then we're going to get right into that new product launch with Connect Plus Edge, some new features that are available on the platform today for both users, MSPs, and of course, manufacturers. Then we're going to talk about our roadmap and of course, those new spring events that are upcoming. Let's jump right in. So recent market trends. Again, for those that are maybe new to this webinar series that we run every quarter, what we do is every 3 months leading up to the quarterly webinar is we engage with thousands of customers and partners and the top consultants in the industry and outside our AV industry and talk about what are the biggest trends going on in this industry that we need to be aware of. What are we developing to? What are our customers asking for? What are things that are driving demand and need in this AV IT enterprise world? So we always summarize these four. They're sometimes new, sometimes the same, but I thought this one was very unique. Starting on the top left here, what we're seeing is this massive move from proprietary to more open systems. I wouldn't say this is a trend over the last 3 months. This is a trend in the industry at large over the last several years, if not decades. What it's focused on is more standards-based collaboration and communication and interoperability between systems. We've seen this in this industry before. Whether it was through standard IP network protocols, whether it was through standards and alliances from HDBaseT to SDVoE, where people were developing to a single communication method so that you, as the customer, could integrate systems that were working together. This next frontier in proprietary to open systems is 100% going to be focused around the cloud. And again, we're not saying this simply because we live in the cloud and we are the cloud standard in this industry, but because that is where manufacturers and integrators and users are moving their buying decisions and their developing decisions towards is cloud-based standards. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about what this means for us, of course, here at X-Sight, but we're also going to talk what it means for you when we're talking deeper and deeper about cloud standards and how you can adopt and or develop to them. The second one is enterprise-grade collectors. Again, not something very unique and new for this last quarter, but something that we're seeing as a bigger trend being asked for by large enterprise IT suite, CIO suite decision makers. And that is these collectors that aren't just doing the job of finding what is on my network, what is its IP address, what's its MAC and serial number, is it on off, but ensuring now, and maybe even putting a greater microscope on these collectors to ensure that it's enterprise grade. And that is the biggest change. It's not the adoption of these collectors, but the adoption of enterprise grade security standard collectors that are meeting those high standards of those C-suite executives at the enterprise. So we're going to talk a little bit about what this means for us, of course, but again, bigger focus on this in our conversations with consultants and users. The bottom two are probably my favorite. The bottom left, we're talking about this readiness for AI tools. And if you were at ISE and you walked around the show floor, you probably saw a lot of booths with the terms, AI for AV, or, the AI frontier, the AI transformation. 100%, right? I think we're all still trying to figure out what it means for us in this industry. That's a no-brainer. But what we're seeing as at least the starting signs of where this AI trend is going to be in AI agents. And agentic AI is truly becoming, at least in enterprise software, that first frontier that we're going to see being adopted by the C-suite. What agentic AI is all focused on is things like even chatbots or add-ons or tools or plugins to applications that you were already using and adopting, tools that you've already approved for use in your enterprise, but bolting on these AI agents, think chatbot, but it's not limited to chatbot, to now embed AI benefits and AI tools to that same enterprise-grade IT level software that you've been using. This is massive. And the way that this is being adopted is through this standards-based protocol, which relates back to our first topic that we talked about, more open, less proprietary. This is occurring in the AI world with MCP. MCP, you can think of this as like the USB-C for the AI world. It's a way for enterprise-grade software and systems to communicate over a standards, open-based protocol to other enterprise AI-based systems. That is the first generation that we are seeing with AI adoption. And by all means, it's going to be the first thing that affects this AV industry as well. Last one, and I was actually just on a panel a couple months ago talking about this, is really, we saw this 20 years ago when we were talking a lot about AV-IT merging. We're seeing it much more now with AV and BMS. So with that AV-IT convergence, pretty much have already happened. We're going to now see that next one with building management and facility management systems. This all comes back to real estate. Real estate, real estate, real estate. That's where the greatest budget lies. It's where the greatest energy demand and savings lies. It's where the greatest focus from the C-suite of decision-making enterprise customers lie. And now, for us in the AV world, we need to start talking that language the same way that we learned to speak IT not too long ago. So again, these are the four main trends that we have seen, maybe some new, maybe some not, but maybe also a spin on a couple of the things that we've been seeing for many, many years, but now being more relevant today in this AV industry. Without further ado, let's jump right into the products and how this is now addressing a lot of these different recent trends. And I can't be more excited to introduce one of, if not the greatest advancement that we've had in Excite history, and that is the announcement of Connect Plus Edge. What is Connect Plus Edge? So for the longest time, really even since the inception of Excite as a company, we have been focused on cloudifying the AV industry and connecting the entire industry, the entire value chain, from users to consultants to integrators to manufacturers, all through the standard cloud. And what we launched at ISE, as many of you are very familiar with, was this Connect Plus ecosystem, was removing the silo of clouds by manufacturer and by channel partner and bringing together and creating the first AV IT ecosystem of a cloud of clouds that you now have access to take action on, which was Connect Plus. But we had a missing piece. How did we complete the picture if my device that I needed to manage wasn't on a cloud, whether its own, whether through Excite, or whether through a connector in cloud-to-cloud communication? We still needed to complete the picture. And without that missing piece, the puzzle was incomplete. We now can say we finally can complete that picture for you as a manufacturer, an integrator, and a user to truly see 100% of your deployed AV IT estate in your meeting rooms and meeting spaces. What Connect Plus Edge is a way to cloudify your unclouded devices. It is that enterprise-grade collector to take those systems that either do not have their own cloud or are not natively currently integrated into Excite and bring it into that same ecosystem to truly, finally, and once and for all, provide you that single pane of glass for management for everything in your space. That is what Connect Plus Edge is. But it's one thing for me to say that, right? I totally understand. You're like, Andrew's just some sales guy telling me that this is completing the picture. But we're doing it incredibly intelligently. And I want to bring Ron on now for a second to talk a little bit more about not what the Connect Plus Edge is, but Ron, tell us a little bit more about what makes it different.
Sure. Hi everyone. So as Andrew said, I'm Ron. I'm VP Product at Excite. Let me add some more details here on the Connect Plus Edge. So the Connect Plus Edge is a robust enterprise-level solution. It supports various protocols, as you can see here, to ensure compatibility with many devices that you may want to monitor and manage. Edge is constantly evolving, getting updates through the cloud for additional devices and additional functionality. So you connect the Edge agent once, and then all the compatibility for devices is managed through the cloud. It gets updated automatically, nothing to worry about. It gets better and better every day. We'll be implementing redundancy to ensure the system availability, preventing a single point of failure. So if the computer suddenly reboots, there's another Edge running on another computer, and it will compensate for that. And additional feature that will be added is automated device discovery. So it can scan the network and bring on all the devices automatically without manual intervention. These can be turned on and off. I know there's some concerns around it for several reasons, but it's a very powerful tool that will enable at will.
So Ron, if I can quickly, I think there's a couple cool things in here. Because there are some collectors available today, right? And but what this is really doing differently, at least what I've seen, having been in this industry for a long time, one is that automated driver updates. I love that, right? Like Excite today, we allow you as an integrator, or even you as a user, and we've got a couple that are doing it, to write your own drivers. All the power to you. You absolutely can. We've got amazing developer tools. You can write your own drivers. You own that capability, and you can launch them within the Excite Connect Plus ecosystem. And I implore you guys to continue to do so. What's incredible here is that we take that off your plate. You don't need to write those drivers, and most importantly, you don't need to maintain them. Is that now that we're able to maintain these things for you as we start to build this massive library, is that we're also going to maintain the automatic driver updates all through the cloud. You don't have to actually go on site, load to the server, load these updates, ensure that the firmware changes the connection, that it all remains communicable. This is massive, and that maintenance, that's a huge cost now off the shoulders of a lot of, I know integrators that I've worked with that I think have taken on that burden of creating drivers and maintaining drivers because it was the only option. But now with the Connect Plus Edge, that final mile is maintained by us for those that don't have cloud-to-cloud connections or don't have native Excite integration. So that's going to be massive. But Ron, let's get one level even deeper. I'm sure people have questions. Like, how does this actually work?
Yeah, sure. So it's quite easy actually to start working with Connect Plus Edge. So what you need to do is prepare a local server that can run a Docker container. It can be any device that you may have which can run Docker, a computer of any sort that you have readily available as part of your setup already. Then you download and run the Connect Plus Edge installation script. And then from your Excite Cloud account, you connect the edge that you installed. And then through this edge, you start claiming the local devices that are connected to the edge, the same way that you claim the natively connected devices to Excite already. We're currently working with several beta customers that already installed the Excite Edge, and you are welcome to join them. Reach out to us later on. And we also have a poll here.
Yeah, so let's launch the poll. So guys, we have a quick poll. This is going to help us in this development and finalization of the beta as well. But which on-prem AV monitoring platforms do you use today that you would want to be cloudified through Connect Plus Edge? Let me give you guys an example. My history, I started in this AV world at Crestron. Crestron had Crestron Fusion. It was an on-prem monitoring tool. Would that, at that time, would be an answer to say, hey, you know what? Crestron Fusion's great, but it's on-prem. I'd love to cloudify it. That would be a great answer for me as something that I use that should be part of Connect Plus Edge in the future. I know there's a bunch of others out there, at least that I'm familiar with. You guys are the experts on here. I know, I think Extron Global Viewer is one. I think Biamp Sage View is an on-prem option. So there's a bunch out there. That's what we're looking to understand from you, the experts. What do you guys use today so that we could focus our development on this? So upon public launch, we're already out there with a ton of amazing tools for you guys to gain value on. We're going to leave this up for a little while, for one more minute to give you time to answer. A couple other quick things to note about how it works. One thing is we are not selling the hardware. We never will sell hardware. We are a software company. The goal for that is purposeful as well, is because we've been speaking with a lot of enterprise clients. The process to white label and approve a server running Linux to be on site in a rack, in an IT closet, takes a while. And a lot of them have these servers already on site. So let's just use what's already approved. It simply needs to run Docker and download and run the Connect Plus Edge installation script. So the hardware is provided by yourselves or your customers, whatever's already pre-white labeled and supported. This can be run on there as long as it can run a Docker container. We got around 15 more seconds to go, so please make sure your last answers are on this poll, and then it'll disappear. All right, thank you so much for answering that. Before we move on, and I saw somebody ask the question as well, but we were saving it for the end, is we have on here, join the beta. How the hell do I join the beta? So in the group here, we're going to be providing a link to all of you guys that have joined this webinar. It's a quick little form. You can add your name, your company, and your email address so that we can reach out to you guys. But we will add you to our beta list, and our engineering team will begin to reach out to you one by one because you joined this webinar. You'll be able to have access to Connect Plus Edge as early as possible. All right, so I think our team's going to add that in there. Really just wanted to wrap this up. I can't stress enough how important this announcement is, guys. Not only is it a massive announcement for us here at Excite to complete that picture and really, put our money where our mouth is in regards to single pane of glass monitoring and management, we see this as a massive step forward for the industry as a whole. Because it's part of this, general Excite ecosystem, this begins to benefit everybody, not just the MSPs and the integrators and the users who absolutely are going to gain value in seeing single pane of glass management. But now you as a manufacturer and working directly and natively with us, now you can be assured that when developing natively to Excite, that your device is now able to be monitored and managed next to all of your partners 100% of the time. So this does complete that picture in the statement of single pane of glass monitoring and management for absolutely everybody in this industry as part of the X-Sight Connect Plus ecosystem. All right, please keep asking your questions. Again, the form is in the chat, so please do click that if you want to join the beta. We'll be taking a look at that very shortly. Let's get back to you, Ron. I know a lot of people join this webinar not expecting a product launch, but that's what they got because it is super exciting and innovative for the industry as a whole. But let's talk a little bit about the X-Sight product updates and what has been released as of today. So these are, Ron, correct me if I'm wrong, these are available today in the platform, right?
Yes, correct. Yes.
Awesome.
So yeah, let's talk a bit about some other things that we've been building for the past few months. Some of you that have joined previous webinars may have seen this is coming soon, and now it's part of the product. So firstly, we've added for OEMs a set of customer data analytics to help you promote your cloud with your customers. You are able to see data about the customer's activity. You can approach them as needed to increase their engagement. We also added visibility into the sub-organizations. These are your end customers, so the customers of your MSPs. So now you know where your devices are installed. This is new and unique. If you're interested, we're happy to have a call and discuss your use cases for these dashboards. We've added the first iteration, and we'll continue working to improve these dashboards and include any relevant information that you as an OEM would find useful.
Yeah, this is great, right? If you're developing on our platform as a manufacturer and you're launching, your product in the Connect Plus ecosystem, it really doesn't do any good if no one's using it, no one's claiming it, no one's monitoring it, no one's managing it. So finally, we're going to give you guys some really good analytics to understand, is what I'm doing with my cloud monitoring and management initiative actually bringing value and bringing my customers to do things with my products and with my cloud. So I'm looking forward to this one, Ron.
Okay, next in line, we made some updates to our tickets feature. So as a reminder, when an incident cannot be handled by the MSP or the end customer, the user may escalate the incident into a ticket. The ticket opens a direct line of communication with the manufacturer. When a manufacturer replies to a ticket that was opened through X-Sight, all the responses will appear in the X-Sight ticket on both ends, so on the partner portal and on the customer portal. And in addition, the user who created the ticket will receive an email notifying them that when they received a response. So every time that there's communication happening in the tickets, both sides get an email telling them, go into the platform, there's something new happening with the ticket, please take a look, please respond. In addition, customers with ServiceNow integration can now see the ServiceNow ID within the X-Sight incident information for incidents which have been shared to ServiceNow. This is not tickets, this is incidents. Typically MSPs that use ServiceNow will integrate the incidents that are generated in X-Sight with entities in ServiceNow, and then we have a reference that can run between both, and you can identify the X-Sight entity and the ServiceNow ID.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, Ron, this goes back to our whole single pane of glass conversation. It goes beyond just monitoring tools, right, in the AV space, but it's also your IT, your CMDB type tools on the CIO suite side of things, is giving more of that integration, but also more of that information back within your X-Sight portal. If you, as the AV manager here, are living in X-Sight, you're going to want to be able to get more information of what you're sending and receiving from your IT tool integrations like ServiceNow. I really like that. That's great.
All right. Another thing that we've developed is adding asset management capabilities to X-Sight. End users and integrators can add unconnected devices to the same spaces along with their connected devices and manage their life cycle, including availability statuses, whether it's available, broken, spare, and so on, and also add warranty and service contract trackers to these assets. So it could be that in an AV setup, You have some connected devices, but you can have some disconnected devices, such as a USB camera or a mouse or a keyboard. These can be tracked as assets, and you can manage them as inventory. So everything is in the same space using the same tree hierarchy that we provide for devices.
This is cool. So let's actually launch the poll because we have a poll here, but I want to talk a little bit more about this, Ron. So guys, just quickly about the poll. It's going to be, again, open text field. We're looking to understand what kind of assets you'd like to track and what data of that asset would be interesting to you. To give you some context behind this, we launched this actually at ISE for the first time. We had amazing feedback. Actually, a lot of my conversations were even just around furniture. You know, just understanding, do I have a rack in that room? Do I have an all-in-one kind of TV monitor kind of stand built into my table and chairs? That was always key too. I did just also, though, last week have an awesome conversation with one of our platinum partners about how they're using this asset tracking. And maybe this will help give you guys some ideas about where this tool is so useful in X-Sight. What they were saying was, they're like, look, Andrew, you know, we use X-Sight, and obviously we love your connected device monitoring and management, single pane of glass, blah, blah, blah. We know the story. But for some of our customers, we may not have access to their network or even have a managed service contract with them to do that remote-based management, of which X-Sight enables me. However, since you have this asset management tool, I'm actually still able to, A, bring value to my client and show them what's available without ever touching their network, because this is offline. I'm doing more inventory asset management here. And it helps me as the integrator to track and understand what I've deployed, so that when I get a call from that customer who I don't currently have a service contract or maintenance contract with, and they say, I've got a problem in room A on floor 5, even though they're not connected to their network via service contract, they're still gaining value in X-Sight, clicking the tree view, finding that room, and seeing in their asset manager what devices they installed, what date they installed them in, and they also loaded the quick start guides and the maintenance guides all there in that one screen. So I think this is a really cool tool. We are just at the beginning of what asset management or offline management can do, I think, with X-Sight and in this industry. But the possibilities are endless. So I know the poll just ended. Hopefully that story gave you guys a little bit of context of where we're going with this, but a lot more to come on here as well. So that, I think, ends our what we've launched today. But Ram, let's talk a little bit about what's currently on our roadmap and coming soon in the next 6 months.
Yeah, sure, Andrew. So interesting things are on the way. First is the way that we look at incident management. So as you know, incidents are basically exceptions, things that go wrong in X-Sight. And this is the main tool for integrators, for MSPs, to basically manage the equipment and resolve problems. Currently, incident tools are defined by OEMs and cater to typical use cases based on the device model. So each of the devices have the same incident tools as defined by the OEM. However, in a lot of cases, the specific installation, configuration, or usage pattern should be taken into account when defining what is considered normal device condition and what is considered an incident that should be addressed. It could be, for example, whether the TV should be connected, whether the TV should have a device connected to HDMI 1 or HDMI 2. That's something that only the integrator knows. That's not something that could have been defined by the manufacturer of the equipment. So we will let MSPs tweak the OEM default incidents priority to begin with, and then even define their own incident rules. These definitions can be as granular as the individual device, room, building, device model, or customer. In addition, sometimes several incidents together tell the real story. If they repeat over time, or if they happen at the same location at the same time, or if they happen across several devices from the same device model. So we also will build a way to surface these stories that's comprised of several incidents that are somehow related. We also plan to allow the MSPs to fine-tune the frequency of incident notifications so that you will not always get a notification for each individual incident, but sometimes it will be a digest of a few of them if it's not very critical.
Yeah, this is big for a lot of my conversations, Ron, have been around with integrators about proactive versus reactive management, and how we're supporting them, right? And there's a lot you can do today in X-Sight to be more proactive in your engagement. However, a lot of the feedback we received, which helped build this product roadmap item, was what a manufacturer identifies as critical is maybe not critical for me. Or what a manufacturer identifies as low priority is actually very high priority for me as the integrator of that user. So that was one. And then I think you mentioned it at the end, is the more holistic view, right? Of, hey, it's great to know that the TV is not turning on, but in reality, that means the room is broken. I can't use my Teams room system if my display isn't turning on. So combining these incidents into more storytelling of your room is not operational. That gets into the uptime and downtime conversations of spaces, and then also leads us in to this next conversation around the analytics and kind of reporting that we're looking to get into, right, Ron?
Yes, that's correct. So in addition to the operational data that is used to the day-to-day managing devices, resolving issues, and so on, we're also starting to build an in-product analytics for MSPs and in-house teams, which will include a higher level, longer-term perspective in order to report performance, track trends, and make longer-term decisions. MSPs will be able to track their customer growth, device reliability, incident handling SLAs, room utilization, and more, and basically help them manage their business over time using data from X-Sight.
Yeah, so when the first one was more customization of the problems, now we're getting into the collection of the problems over time, and then lastly, which I think is kind of the cream of the crop here, is these trends, right? Because that's gonna, as much as we talk about proactive versus reactive, absolutely big focus with X-Sight, but I also want to be able to sit down with my partner, with my customer, and say, look, we've been proactive in your support, but let's look back over time about what has happened and with this trend analysis and what we should do moving forward together.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, and I see already progress to the next slide. So on top of everything that we said, we know that you're not always living 24/7 within the platform. So we also want to help MSPs and end users to become aware of interesting updates about their device fleet when they're not logged into X-Sight. So we're going to launch two types of configurable update messages. The first one is the operational daily digest message that will summarize interesting findings from the last 24 hours and help the operational teams to prioritize their work and basically take them directly to the relevant view within the platform based on the context of what the digest kind of includes, what was found out that happened in the last 24 hours or needs attention. The second type of digest will be something of a more of a long-term in nature, weekly or monthly, that will summarize interesting insights from the analytics dashboard we just mentioned and link back to the platform for further probing and the analysis of the data.
So this one I found interesting because it relates a lot to what in like the sales world we've seen in Salesforce or HubSpot today. And I'm sure there's a lot of users on the call today that use Salesforce. I remember, you log in the morning and it tells you, here's what you need to do today, right? It's like your daily digest is really what it was. Call this customer, follow up on this quote that you sent out on the support side, reach back out to this customer to inform them of the status of maybe their break fix that is on your plate. Same idea here with monitoring and management of equipment, right? We don't expect you guys to be staring at the X-Sight screen 24/7, and so we want to continue to push and be proactive to you, our customer, with information so that you can turn around and do the exact same to your customer. And that's where these digests are going to be really coming in handy.
Exactly. So Andrew mentioned in the beginning of this discussion about our open architecture strategy and how things are becoming more standardized and interconnected. So as part of our open architecture strategy, we will enable various ways for MSPs and end users to consume the X-Sight device data. In addition to the X-Sight customer platform, which we're talking about all the time, X-Sight data will be available through third-party applications that customers are already using today. It could be messaging platforms, it could be ticketing platforms, it could be BMSs, anything that's being used. And on top of that, we're building an AI MCP server that will allow natural language communication with the X-Sight data through AI agents. So you can actually communicate with the data using natural language. I will give some examples in the next slide. For OEMs, this universal approach will open up the possibility of reaching their customers wherever they are now, not enforcing them to use the X-Sight UI, and this will be done through a single connection of their devices to X-Sight.
Yeah, we talk about this. I feel like or at least hint at it every quarter and every trade show because it is so massive, and the reason why we've been talking about it for so long is because it continues to evolve, right? Last quarter we were talking about Universal Device API as it related to BMS integration.
Yeah.
Then we started talking about Universal Device API as it related to CMDB integration, and now we're adding in this AI MCP integration. So it's going to constantly evolve. At the end of the day, whether you're a manufacturer integrating with X-Sight your products, an integrator using the tools of the products that are integrated into Connect Plus, or an end user who's simply just monitoring your equipment all through X-Sight, the big thing here is that we are bringing together all of this data, all of these communication methods from previously individual siloed devices, and now allowing you to integrate outward to your existing enterprise IT tools through a single API. That's the big difference. Where previously it was, I want to connect my Teams room system to my ServiceNow. I want to integrate my control system to my ServiceNow. I want to integrate my speakers to my Slack. You don't need to do that and maintain that over and over again for each individual siloed system. You only have to do it once with X-Sight. And what that brings us into, which was that next frontier and that next transformation, is that AI MCP server. And I know we're talking a lot, we're throwing out some terms and acronyms, but again, if you haven't heard about this, just think about it. And we're going to go to this next slide, and Ron's going to go through a couple examples. But my favorite is, think about ChatGPT for AV management. I mean, that is the way it was explained to me, and God, it clicked immediately. If I could just sit in front of my management screen and ask what is going on, what's wrong with my space, boy, would that save me a lot of time. But Ron, I know you got a couple other real-world applications, so let's run through some of them.
Yeah, sure. So enabling access to AI agents, everything opens up a lot of possibilities. I can give a few examples, but we also have a poll of your examples that will pop up soon. So first thing, it could be self-healing. So using remote commands for reactively or proactively taking care of exceptions. For example, you can reset all the devices to a default setting every evening once no one's in anymore, and you know that in the next morning you come in, everything is standardized, everything is set to the right inputs, to the right volume, whatever you define as standard. It could be sending automatically a command once a certain incident is identified. So the AI agent will run it for you. You don't need to worry about it yourself. You will get a report at the end of everything that has happened. That will save manual labor, improve equipment availability, and also extend your coverage in terms of hours because it works 24/7. Another example could be adaptive configuration of devices based on data from other devices. For example, you have an occupancy sensor that could affect the needs of other devices. It could affect the volume of the room, it could affect the zoom of the camera, or the temperature sensor, or whatever else. AI could also be used to identify trends in failures before they become widespread and before a human could identify them. So you, as a manufacturer, can proactively act, for example, and release a firmware update before a lot of failures of a certain device model happen for a lot of customers. And in addition, of course, the typical example of you using ChatGPT to communicate with your device fleet, asking questions, receiving back tailored answers, and even tailored visuals, as this will progress in, massive pace. You can now ask for visualize my device fleet, and you get a pie chart, you can get a bar chart, whatever, as long as the data is connected behind the scenes.
Amazing. This is really cool stuff, Ron. Let's launch the poll so we can get some feedback from the group as well about where you seeing this kind of land. While we have this poll up, a couple things to add to this. You know, we're talking a lot about these applications that we see. The jury's still out, right? We've been asked every day about self-healing, but is that realistic? And what do we mean by self-healing? Do we really want to be rebooting devices or just setting it back to a default state? Do we want to just simply have a chat bot to ask what's wrong? But do I need that when I can just easily see it in a tree view? So understanding these use cases of how it's going to save you time and money and bring value to your customers at the end of the day, that's what we want to focus on, right? Because there's going to be two levels of this AI agent integration, right? And we talked a little bit about them, but I just want to wrap this up with this explanation. One is, of course, we're talking about it as it relates to X-Sight. Of course, we're going to have MCP or an agentic AI built into X-Sight. You're going to have potentially a chat bot to be able to ask you questions about X-Sight, and that's if you're living in our tool. But what we also recognize is that the more widely adopted enterprise-grade tools today, like SAP, Salesforce, ServiceNow, Slack, these are programs and applications that are building in agentic AI already in their platforms, tools that you and your IT managers and your CIOs may already be leveraging. Meaning, when X-Sight comes out with this MCP support, is that if you want to live in ServiceNow's AI agent, you simply can ask it to query X-Sight because we both speak to that MCP server. And that is that open standards communication. That is the integration between platforms and the huge benefit that X-Sight brings, because we're taking all of these devices at the edge and bringing it into one place for integration into many places. And that's massive. So guys, please get in your messages here, your notes here on the MCP and AI agent real world applications. So really help us develop not just the MCP server integration, but also even our own agentic AI into our platform. So this will be up just for a couple more seconds. Amazing. All right, Ron, thank you so much for walking us through the updates that have already launched in the platform and, of course, what we're working on. So that was fantastic. We're going to wrap this up, guys, with just a couple save the dates, some really cool events, 3 big ones that are upcoming this spring. First one is the AV Cloud Summit. If you guys remember, we ran this just a couple months ago. I believe it was in the fall, winter timeframe with Rave. We're going to be doing another one because of the amazing success there and because of the feedback from you guys. You wanted more. So we're going to be doing another AV Cloud Summit coming this spring. So save the date for May 21st. We're going to have amazing panels. We're going to have some great speakers, some case studies and conversations. And most importantly, just to tease this out there a little bit, is we're going to be launching the Open AV Cloud. And that's kind of, I'm going to leave that there for now. I don't want to take away the thunder from the actual launch itself, but we are going to be launching with some amazing partners an industry initiative around the Open AV Cloud and how X-Sight's involved, and of course, how many, many other partners are involved in this incredible initiative is going to be launched on this AV Cloud Summit. So invites will be going out shortly for registration, but please mark May 21st as an online event on your calendar for now. The following week from the AV Cloud Summit on May 29th, we're going to have a system integrator. So MSP, system integrator, resellers, dealers, distributors, a specific event just for you, where we're also going to have some panels, some case study conversations. You're going to have access to our C-suite here at X-Sight with our CTOs and VPs of product and engineering joining to talk all about what we're doing to make and help your business move forward, especially in this new AI frontier, but also for us to listen to you. This is a great opportunity for you guys to provide real live feedback directly to our engineering team on what you need in the Excite tool to move your business forward. So May 29th, that'll also be an online event. Invites for registration will be going out shortly. And of course, as I'm sure everybody on here will be at InfoComm, we're going to have our biggest booth yet. So please do mark that booth number 3153. We're going to be having Connect Plus Edge live there in person. You can see it, play around with it, talk to me and our engineers on how it's going to be used, deployed, and leveraged for you as a manufacturer, an integrator, or an end user. And of course, you guys can walk around to a lot of our partner booths and see how Excite is being deployed today at many other manufacturers and some system integrators that are going to be showing at InfoComm as well. So 3 incredible events from the AV Cloud Summit to the SI event to InfoComm, all within the next couple months. Cannot wait to see all you guys there. With that, and I know we're already a minute over, we did have a couple questions that came through. We didn't have a chance to talk about them on the specific slides, but I did want to bring them up. So let's just take a couple minutes to answer these questions. We had a question come in about, can you track the room as an asset and then add all the devices into that room? Ron, maybe talk a little bit about the structure of asset management versus rooms and how that looks in Excite today.
So the way it works currently is that assets are a parallel hierarchy to devices. So you place assets in a room, and then you place devices in the same room so that they appear together. That's how it works. So room is basically a folder in Excite today as part of the hierarchy of three rooms and buildings and sites and customers and so on. One thing we will consider doing in the future is use the room as an entity that has its own status, which will be based on the status of devices and or assets in that room in some aggregated rule. But that's coming sometime. Happy to answer any more questions around that, offline.
Awesome. Thank you, Ron. A couple other questions. We had actually, they're all related to Connect Plus Edge. So clearly there's big traction here. The first question around Connect Plus Edge was, is there an API for support instances to pull tickets into a platform like Freshdesk, Zoho, Jira, etc.?
We need to take that offline.
Okay. So for the person that answered asked that question, we'll reach out to you one-on-one and provide that in the recording. We had a couple other questions around Connect Plus Edge that I just want to address here as well, Ron. It was mainly about deployment. So this one was about, do we need multiple scripts per floor, per building, per device? What are some recommendations for deployment as it relates to device computers or servers running the scripts itself for Connect Plus Edge?
So in general, an edge device can connect and get data from everything that's connected to the same local network. So you don't need to deploy that many as long as the devices are connected.
Awesome. And then the last question we have here, unless there's anyone else coming in last minute, Ron, is how you mentioned updates. How are updates handled with Connect Plus Edge? Whose responsibility is it? And can it be done remotely, or does it need to be on site?
So there are two types of updates. The most common update is update to the capability of integrating with devices. That's fully cloud-based. Nothing needs to happen on the client side. All these updates are happening automatically in the cloud. Nothing to worry about. In case that an update to the actual edge software is needed, then we'll deploy a package to upgrade. But that would be a rare occasion. That's not something that's expected all the time.
Great. All right, Ron, thank you so much for walking us through these and answering these questions. Again, if anyone has any further questions, or for the gentleman that asked the other one about the APIs for us to address offline, our emails are right here, ron@excite.io. You can also reach out to myself, andrew@excite.io. But with that, thank all of you guys for jumping on here, joining us on our webinar and our Connect Plus Edge launch. We can't wait to see you guys, obviously, on this next quarterly update webinar, but of course, on those 3 big events coming up in the next couple months, from the AV Cloud Summit to the SI event, and of course, InfoComm. But thanks you all again, and really looking forward to working with all of you and seeing you again very soon.